Bizarre Brain Comics. Hello, my comic book friends, and welcome to Bizarre Brain Comics. I'm Gary, your host. And this is where I like to take a look at some older comics, talk a little bit about the characters and creators, and examine the stories and the art. And this time, I want to take a look at Airboy. We'll look at Airboy number 12. This is from 1986. And you might say, who is Airboy? Well, here I got three different issues here, but we're just going to look at number 12. These are the three that I have. I have a couple more out somewhere out in my boxes, and I even have a Golden Age one somewhere, which I will show whenever I come across it. Okay. I think I still have that one. Okay. And this book is written by Chuck Dixon with pencils by Stan Woch and inks by Kim DeMulder. Okay, Airboy is a Golden Age aviation comics hero. And his books were initially published by Hillman periodicals during World War II. His initial run ended in 1953. Airboy was the costumed identity of young pilot Davy Nelson. And he first appeared in Air Fighters Comics number 2 in 1942, created by Charles Biro, Dick Wood, and Al Kamey. And then it was rebooted in the 80s. He's a public domain character. Rebooted, let's see here. Rebooted in the 80s at Eclipse by Charles Dixon. Remember, Chuck Dixon has his own YouTube channel in which he talks about comics, mostly the comics that he has or is working on. And but here, this version of Airboy, he is the son of the original Airboy, and he's Davy Nelson III. They also revived several of the supporting characters of the original, and this run ended in 1989 with a total of 50 issues, and it was initially bi-weekly. So it was it's like and at only 50 cents. And you can see that it's like this one here. It's much flimsier because it's only about half size, but it was bi-weekly. Had the story, of course the Airboy story. Then we're going to look at number 12, when it was still bi-weekly at $1.25, but it was expanded. It still had the main story was the same length, but it was a larger book because they added a Skywolf backup story, and then eventually it went. So here we have number 34. About this time it went monthly and was about the same size or maybe a little bit longer, and it still had the main Airboy story, which I think was a little bit longer, and then the Skywolf backup story. And the backup story was featured the original Skywolf in new adventures set in the 1950s. And Skywolf was a supporting character and had his own adventures as well. And then here we have on the cover, we have this here. It's a really nice drawing. This is, I believe, by I think his first name is Dave, if I remember correctly, Dave Dorman. And you can see he is well known for being a good girl artist. Even although mostly I only see him do like some covers, some ads, and I have a whole book of some of his sexy women that he's drawn. So he's a good girl artist. But most of the stuff that I have seen by him has been in lettering. So, so maybe he was doing the lettering to support himself while he was working on his own projects. I don't know. Anyway, very nicely drawn. Here, of course, is Airboy himself, and secondary character is Valkyrie. She is a classic character, a Golden Age character, and she in the storyline she had been put in suspended animation for decades by a villain, and then she popped out, so she's still the same age she was in the classic Airboy stories. And here he drew her shirt even more open than it usually is in the comics. And then Skywolf backup image in the sky, because he is also, because Skywolf is one of the secondary characters here too, but this is the son of the original Skywolf, as we shall see, and is ongoing, continuing storyline. So of course we start right in the middle somewhere. And here is, its title is Gone to Texas, and here we see, what is his name? I can't remember this older Japanese fellow's name coming down the stairs. He was supposedly one of the first enemies of the original Airboy, who he was a Japanese pilot during the war, and he reformed afterwards. He's become a fast friend of the original Airboy, and now the son of Airboy, the new Airboy, he's more kind of his mentor, because the original Airboy, Davy Nelson II, is dead, I believe. He's coming down the stairs, and you see, this is a robot. This is a robot working on something. He said, "You working on your plane? It's good to be occupied." Now here's he talking directly to the robot. What's going on? Well, it turns out, he flashes out in anger and stuff. It turns out that this robot contains the mind and consciousness of another secondary character, the Iron Ace. And he is working on it. And I don't know the backstory on that at all. There's some really nice artwork in this. Stan Woch, I think that's how you pronounce his name. Then we're at the mansion here, and Airboy, Davy, is there shooting blue rocks with Valkyrie, and they have a bit of a relationship, even though she's considerably older than him. But that's primarily because she was spent decades in suspended animation, so biologically she's probably only a few years older than him. They call him Airboy, but he's obviously an adult, so he's probably 20, 21, something like that. Anyway, and they're talking about their relationship. Then our scene changes to Skywolf. And now Skywolf, this version of Skywolf, has an Apache attack helicopter. That's what you see right over here. But in a recent adventure, his helicopter was severely damaged, and the people in gratitude have given him this I think it's a Falcon executive jet, and he's out just having a good old time flying in one of the islands, because he has a headquarters on some island off the Florida coast somewhere. And here's this other one, and he flies over one that he's familiar with. He sees something. Oh, he lands, and the place has been destroyed, decimated. What has happened? And it has involved some basically pirates, but they're some drug runners and pirates and stuff, and they wiped out this island, and they've left a few bodies of their own behind, and that really ticks him off. So then we're changed to this is, I guess this is in off of in the Gulf of Mexico, so it's off Galveston. And Airboy is in his plane, Birdie, which is somehow supposed to be like semi-intelligent, semi-sentient, something like that. But it's not a conventional airplane. It is, even though it is jet propelled, it is also more like an ornithopter. The wings flap, which really would not work. But anyway, so he's landing. This is the airstrip at the island where Airwolf is based. Airboy and the Japanese fellow whose name I can't remember has gone there, and and now Airwolf brings him, trying to bring him up to speed, and out comes a little old lady in a wheelchair, and it turns out this is Skywolf's mother. So she is probably the backup, the primary lady in the backup. And she's chews him out for, and so they're having drinks in the hangar while Airboy Skywolf times to bring him up to speed, to have a little reminiscence of his father, and how he needs money to get his helicopter fixed. Then our scene changes to elsewhere, south and east, and the Grand Coronicos Island chain, which is probably supposed to be a substitute for the Grand Caymans or something. Anyway, doing some intimidation here, trying to get some information from this fellow, and it hasn't worked yet. Then the Senora calls for this fellow with the two Mac 10s, and the pretty gal in the cowboy outfit, she kind of takes over. So he goes to see the Senora, who is the widow of the big boss, and has taken over this criminal organization. And they realize they're having problems. They've lost a shipment. So, and then just a week later, here's a plane lands, delivers a shipment of the bad stuff the smugglers have delivered. It's picked up, and then that plane is attacked by Birdie and Airboy, and we're that shoots down the plane. The guys parachute to safety, and then they are confronted by Skywolf. Dun dun dun. Next tag team. See, so you can't get a whole. The stories are shorter, and you can't, or chapters. You can't get a whole lot of action. They get a lot more. There seems to be a lot more character development going on here, but then we got a bunch of house ads, and then we get to our backup story, which is Skywolf story. See this bad guy here, all wrapped up in bandages, and they're having an exchange. I don't remember what they're exchanging. Then they're interrupted by Yakuza. I Don't Need My Grave, Part 2. So it's a continuing storyline, also written by Chuck Dixon. This is with art by Bill Jaska. I'm not going to go too much into the storyline because I don't know what the heck's going on really here, because it's. But the artwork, I mean, very well told visually. A lot of action. Skywolf busts in with his lady, who I think is the mother of the modern Skywolf. I don't know. Blasting into the bad guys. He is on the side of the Yakuza, the one guy getting away. But I don't know if you can notice here, there is a very, very strong Paul Gulacy influence in this art. At least I see it everywhere. I don't know if you can. And it is very nicely done. The bad guys are stopped, and then we see the identity, who means nothing to me. It's but it's when the bandages are off, they realize it's someone that they know. He's trying to get away, and blasts him with the bazooka, ba-boom, and that's the end of him. It was and it was a mission of vengeance. Then, because this was a Chinese gang and a Japanese Yakuza gang, and Skywolf working with them to take down these bad guys. And that is the conclusion of the storyline. So I don't know what was going on. It's an interesting, fun read. I remember Airboy when these were coming out. I was never overly thrilled with it. It was well written, well produced. It just didn't strike my fancy that much. So I have no problems with it. I've read some. It's okay. And that's not to say anything bad about these creators. They all did a really, really fine job in bringing this character back. It just was not a big spark to me. I think the ornithopter is kind of quaint. It's visually interesting. It really wouldn't fly, but that's okay. That is okay. So I want to thank you for joining me. Please like, share, and subscribe, and do leave your comments down below. Are you familiar with Airboy? Have you read any of this Airboy run? Have you read any of the classic Airboy stuff? Airboy was also tied into the Golden Age swamp monster, the Heap, and he is used in some of this stuff later at various times, because they were all public domain characters. That's why, like the Heap and some of these other characters were, or slightly altered versions of them, were latched on by AC Comics as well. I think AC has their version of Skywolf, but I'm not positive on that. They did have used the Heap, as I've shown before. So, again, thank you for joining me. Please like, share, subscribe. Do leave your comments down below. And remember, comics are art.